May we get your attention, please? Good evening. Can we get you to take your seats, please? We are about to begin our presentation in 45 seconds. 44 seconds. Well done. Good evening and God bless. My name is Steve Kelly. I am the board vice chair of Mel Trotter Ministries. Also, morning show host at Wood Radio, which celebrated 100 years today of service to Grand Rapids. Thank you. What's interesting about that is when Wood Radio came on the air, Mel Trotter Ministries was just down the street for 24 and a half years already. So I'm sure some of us knew some of them. We would like to welcome some distinguished guests this evening, along with you, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Rosalind Bliss of the City of Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids City Commissioner Drew Robbins, welcome. Grand Rapids City Commissioner Bing Goy, thank you for coming. Kristen Silvas is here representing U.S. Congresswoman Hillary Scholten. Thank you for representing. And representing Michigan State Representative Carol Glanville, Steve Martin is here. Thank you. I made it on the board at Mel Trotter Ministries after a successful turkey drop with Wood Radio when then CEO Dennis Van Kampen congratulated us for an exciting evening, and I said, whatever you need, I'm on board. And that's something you should not say if you don't want to end up on the board here. But I can tell you it's a vibrant and diverse group of people that I love serving with, including the man that is at the helm. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Pearson, board chair of Mel Trotter Ministries.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Hey, welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's a privilege to have you here, and I think you'll really be inspired by some of the stories that you'll hear, and hopefully you'll learn something, and hopefully you give a little bit too. That's the other reason we're here. So thank you so much. Without further ado, we're gonna get started. I'd like to bless the meal, and we'll begin with that. Dear Lord, we gather tonight as your people, grateful for the privilege to serve in your name. We thank you for this meal and for the hands that have prepared it. As we get ready to share the food, Lord, we also pray for the more than 400 guests that are currently at Mel Trotter experiencing homelessness. Those 400 guests are also about to share a meal right now. Lord, speak to them. Let them know that they are being prayed for right now. Let them know that they are loved. Lord, we also pray a prayer of protection and a blessing and of deep gratitude for the amazing Mel Trotter staff members who are literally being your hands and feet serving those individuals tonight and tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Throughout the Bible, you tell us to look after the orphans and the widows, to show mercy and compassion to each other, to love the foreigner and the fatherless, giving them food and clothing. We are called to do this because you first loved us. Help us to keep them at the front of our minds in everything that we do. Guide us, Lord, to be instruments of your grace, showing compassion, dignity, and hope to those in need. And may this meal strengthen us for the work ahead and help us to do your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I would like to introduce Ben and Phil. Think Simon and Garfunkel, but better, to play some dinner music for us. So enjoy your dinner, and we'll meet you back up in here a bit.
Good evening, everyone. If I could get everybody's attention a minute. Can't hear it. Hello, good evening. If I could get everybody's attention, please, we'll begin. We have a few things to cover here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gordon Osteen. I'm the interim CEO of Mel Trotter Ministries. For those of you who do know me, my name is still Gordon Osteen, and I'm still the interim CEO. We have at Mel Trotter, we have an award called the Good Shepherd Award. And tonight it's our privilege to both honor and remember Roger Bruins with this Good Shepherd Award. When Roger passed away this past March, Mel Trotter lost a great friend, a mentor, and a board member. Roger was on our board for 33 years, was the longest serving board member that was ever in the history of Mel Trotter. He was left a legacy of service. He was someone who one of those kind of people who didn't have a single enemy in the whole world. I had the privilege of knowing Roger for upwards of over 40 years, and he was very instrumental in getting me involved with Mel Trotter, so I had a special place in my heart for him. His fellow board members knew Roger as a man of really remarkable spirit, and that spirit was the Spirit of God that lived within him. He had a faith-filled heart that really reflected Jesus in everything that he did. When I asked other board members to describe him very briefly, the words that came out were servant leader, faithful, exuberant spirit. He lit up a room full of life, honest and wise. He reflected Jesus, and he was extremely generous. He was truly a servant leader who didn't let difficulties or even physical challenges that he had keep him from living a full life. He was one of those people who truly would light up a room when he came in. So we do want to pause tonight in gratitude for Roger and honor him with that Mel Trotter Good Shepherd Award.
Just a special word of thanks to Roger's family, and his wife Marty is here with us tonight. So thank you for letting him be a part of our lives for such a long time. You've heard the expression, he's an old soul. Roger was a young soul. He was just a fantastic person to be around. So we had this painting. This painting will be placed in the day center so that we can kind of commemorate and remember the 30 plus years that he served everyone that he came into contact with. So again, to Roger Bruins, thank you so much. And Gordon, you get to stay up here for a minute. Adrian, are you nearby? I want to welcome Adrian Goodstall to the stage. Sorry, my first interaction with Gordon.
Sure. Yeah, so I am, as Tony said, I'm Adrian Goodstall, and I've had the privilege of working at Mel Trotter Ministries for the last 10 years and working alongside Gordon Osteen. We started pretty much the same day, yes, and we've been working and leading together, and it's just been such a privilege. And so Gordon has been a constant and steady leader for the staff and board, and they look up to him for guidance and reassurance. Every organization goes through changes, and we are not immune to that, and Gordon is that steady leader that the board and staff look up to. When I think of Gordon and what he embodies as a leader, he's a man with great integrity and wisdom and a deep faith, and that's what you lead by. And you're just a true man of integrity and wisdom. And it's through his business, his expertise in business development that he has led our organization to be the organization that we are today. to ensure that we have a sustainable path forward. And not too many years ago, we were in a bit of a very tight financial situation. And Gordon will tell you he lost many nights of sleep during those days because of his heart for our mission. And I'll never forget, we were sitting in a leadership meeting and Gordon wasn't there. And we're like, where's Gordon? Gordon's always on time to meetings. And all of a sudden, Gordon comes through just very nonchalantly, and he strolls in and announces, I just sold one of our parking lots to Western Michigan University. That will not be the first time that Gordon came in and said, I just sold something. And he does that because he has such a desire to make sure that we can be sustainable and do the work that we do. He's always good at looking at ways to make sure that the organization is financially sound so that we can continue to do the great work that we've been doing in our community for 124 years. He also turned around our failing thrift stores. Again, remember sitting at a board meeting and unanimously the board said, we have to close our thrift stores. And Gordon, in his leadership, has turned it around, and we now have 6 profit-generating thrift stores where those profits go back into our mission so that we can serve the people that we're called to serve and help individuals end their homelessness one life at a time. And Gordon, I know you've tried to retire several times. God bless you. The first time you tried to retire, you did that on your own and realized within 24 hours, I cannot retire. So you came to Mel Trotter on your own that time. But here we are 10 years later, and you have not retired. You've actually stepped in, and you've led this organization with such grace, and you have been the interim CEO now twice. You've been our CFO, and we just cannot do what we do without you. And I will say this, you will retire one day. It will happen. And I think that you're going to enjoy your retirement even more when it does happen. So thank you for all that you have done. And thank you is not enough. We really, truly could not be the organization that we are today without your leadership. And God will certainly say, well done, good and faithful servant. So thank you. I want to finish with, yes, yeah. I'd like to finish with this scripture that really encompasses who Gordon is. It's Proverbs 24, 3-6. By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in abundance of counselors there is victory. So Gordon, on behalf of the board and the staff and the community, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being dedicated to Mel Trotter Ministries.
My first interaction with Gordon was in the banking world. 45 years in the banking world, right? 45 years. So when he introduced himself, my name is Gordon Oosting. You probably know me from this. You probably know me from that. Yeah, you probably know him from a lot of things because he doesn't sit still. So to his wife, thank you for letting him be a part of this. Or you're welcome for letting him be a part of this. That's up to your call. But truly, we could not do it without Gordon. This past year specifically, to have him step in such an expert role, to be able to act as interim CEO was invaluable. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Quickly, thank you for all the kind words. Every time I think about where I've been, what I've done, it kind of reminds me of people who have the opportunity to go on mission trips, and they always go expecting to bless somebody else and always come back saying they're the ones who are blessed. So that's the way I feel. I've had experiences and just everything about Mel Trotter. I'm the one who is blessed. My pastor keeps telling me when you can find retirement in the Bible, then you're free to retire. I've read it from cover to cover now every year. It's not. Chris now. I thought. Okay, as interim CEO, I do have the privilege to introduce the new CEO who is going to be coming on in about 30 days to Mel Trotter. So unfortunately, Chris Pulaski is the new CEO who will be coming. He is not here, so the introduction has to be done by video, which we'll show in just a minute. But Chris is currently in the Ukraine, serving in a role over there for World Vision, setting up refugee camps over in Ukraine. And that's been his history and been his work experience a lot in doing that. And while Chris isn't here, we do have the privilege of having Chris's wife, Tammy, with us tonight. Tammy, if you could just stand up and we'll acknowledge you. And I believe Tammy is the only person more anxious to get Chris here than me.
So I was able to be a part of the CEO search committee, as was Gordon, and just a couple things that really impressed us about Chris. Chris calls himself a gritty Christian. I just love that phrase, gritty Christian. Get your hands dirty and get in there and do it. I think it might be an understatement. He's served in West Africa, Lebanon, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Central Asia, the Balkans, currently in Ukraine, and perhaps the most foreign country was Washington, D.C. He was there for a while. He has experience with national and international fundraising, which is obviously important, but he has experience from ground up encampments to building upon what's already there. And so I think that's what he's really, really excited about with Mel Trotter is he was able to spend 3 days with us walking around and exploring a lot of the different groups and leaders. And he's really excited to learn, get his hands dirty in that and see where we can take it from here and continue to grow everything that we have to offer. Now, let's watch video.
Yes, we do have a short video. Just one quick thing to end with, just because of what Chris told us, that with his whole work career, and one thing that in addition, he does know Grand Rapids. Before going to the Ukraine, he served as for 5 years as the CEO of Bethany Christian Services. So he is familiar with Grand Rapids, which is another huge plus. But he said that his whole motivation in everything that he did was to serve those who were disadvantaged, displaced, distressed, and in difficult situations. And that's his heart. And we'll take a quick look at this short video with Chris being interviewed by Steve Kelly.
I'm very excited to introduce the new CEO of Mel Trotter Ministries as we prepare for 125 years of service. We welcome, just at that time, a brand new CEO. His name is Chris Pulaski and joins us at his post with World Vision in Ukraine. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
I want to jump right to it. What's the plan? Moving forward, we know that you're going to take over and be at the helm. We had a great interviewing process and talked to a lot of people, and your name quickly rose to the top. So welcome, and tell us a little bit about your vision for Mel Trotter moving forward.
Sure. Well, thanks again, and it's an honor to be coming to Mel Trotter. It's got a great reputation, great history, great ministry. So it's a huge honor coming back home to Grand Rapids. So I'm here right now in Kyiv, Ukraine. I'm here for another month, and then I'll be moving back to Grand Rapids. And what's the vision for Mel Trotter? I think for at least the first 3 months is I want to learn. So I want to learn the culture, I want to learn the people, I want to know the partners, I want to understand let's say, the nitty-gritty of the mission of Mel Trotter. Not only the mission, but the mission, the vision, and the values of the organization. So really, the first 3 months are, what can I learn? What can I understand? And yeah, I want to jump in with to the deep end, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that I'm learning the culture of Mel Trotter.
Tell us a little bit more about your why. When folks get to know you, they'll realize quickly that you could run any organization you set your heart to. Why did Mel Trotter draw you in?
Well, for a myriad of reasons. First, I love the mission. So it's working with vulnerable communities, people facing homelessness. So I love the shelter that Mel Trotter is known for, run for. It's the flagship of the organization. But I'm also really interested in what I think I coined as the so much more. So it's on the prevention and diversion services. It's helping people not become homeless, and when they are homeless, helping them during that period of time, but also then getting them out of that cycle to help them to find homes, jobs, deal with addiction issues. So that mission. And then secondly, or even maybe firstly on this, it's to be able to express my faith through a salt and light approach, to be the hands and feet of Christ with people who are just going through a really vulnerable time. So it's like, love the Lord God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself. Well, I see these people as our neighbors.
Chris, you mentioned back home, I believe you have an advanced team that has already established high ground. Talk to us a little bit about your family and joining us back here in West Michigan.
I do. I have a strike team there right now. So my wife is there. We had lived in Grand Rapids 5 and plus years before that. I have a house in East Grand Rapids, and my wife is in the process of moving back into that home with my son. He went to East, and he'll be doing homeschool this year, but he's also very excited to be moving home. So my wife's name is Tammy, and she's actually in seminary right now, and she's moving us back into the house right now, so she's got her hands full. My son will be starting his homeschool next week, and then I just saw my daughter last week. She's doing school in the UK, and we were able to go to Norway and hike up a fjord. So it was a great goodbye to her, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in Grand Rapids. But yep, I have a pre-team there, and I'm looking forward to being reunited with my family and also moving back home. I love the community.
Yeah. Lastly, outside of the work and being reunited with your family, talk to us about what is the taste, the sights, what is the thing about West Michigan that you're looking forward to reconnecting with the most?
The people, the community, the friends. I mean, I think even I said during the interview process, we've had opportunities to serve and do things, across the United States, working with vulnerable communities there, working internationally with vulnerable communities here and around the world. And it really is, we've never had a home. So I always ask my kids, where's home? And 90% of the time they would say, I don't know. And they would give me a different answer each time. My son, though, he would say, well, Michigan's home. And I would agree with him that it's home. We have friends, family, connection. We just love the atmosphere. Now, there's a caveat to that. I would say February and March, it's a little rough to love West Michigan. But the rest of the year, it's great. And we do love it. We love the people and just being there, just being part of that community.
Well, we at Mel Trotter Ministries and all of West Michigan are so much looking forward to it. Chris Pulaski, practice saying the name together, incoming CEO of Mel Trotter Ministries. Thank you once again.
Thank you, and have a good day.
When Chris was here for the interview process, I got to spend a good amount of time with him, and it literally took about 10 minutes, and we felt like the best of friends. So extremely eager to get Chris here and on board with Mel Trotter. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle McIsaac for the next presentation.
Thank you. Hello, as Gordon said, I'm Michelle McIsaac, and I have the honor of serving Mel Trotter as its Chief Strategy Officer. But tonight, I have the great opportunity to talk about my friend, the Grand Rapids Mayor, Rosalind Bliss. Our paths first crossed, Rosalind and myself, more than 20 years ago when we were board members at the Grand Rapids Girls' School. There's no reason to Google it because, unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore. But that's where we began. While we could spend a big chunk of the night talking about Rosalind's accomplishments since the Grand Rapids Girls' School, we're going to fast forward tonight to the summer of 2017. And Mayor, I don't know if you quite remember this, but our then CEO, Dennis Van Kampen, and I made our way across town to City Hall to visit our new mayor. And today, there are two things that still stand out to me about that meeting. One is the number of times Mayor Bliss said, "I love Mel Trotter." The second thing I remember is her offer to help us in any way that she could. And I'm here to tell you today that Mayor Bliss has never, ever wavered from either of those declarations. Whether we've asked the mayor to write letters of support for grants, whether we've asked her to strengthen relationships with city staff, whether we've asked her to help us find and secure city or state funding, she has always shown up. She has never, ever, ever wavered from that day, that summer day in 2017. In fact, just a couple days ago, she sent me an email, and the last sentence of it said, "Let me know what I can do." That's Rosalind Bliss. But I have to tell you, I have been thinking about Rosalind and the 20 years that I've known her. And in thinking about that, I realized there is one thread that winds through her career life. And that one thread is her voice. Specifically, it's how she uses that voice. She's been a voice for girls. She's been a voice for children who have known extreme trauma. And she has used her voice for our most vulnerable neighbors, many of which who are experiencing homelessness. But I have to tell you a little bit about Rosalind's voice. Sometimes that voice can be passionate and fierce because she's got a job to do and we are going to get that job done, aren't we, Mayor? Sometimes her voice can cajole and engage when she's bringing together groups of people in collaboration and partnership, looking for the best solutions or the best opportunities for the city of Grand Rapids. And sometimes her voice is incredibly soft, and that's when she brings light and hope and love to those who are most troubled. We're here tonight at this very moment to say thank you to Mayor Rosalind Bliss for your staunch voice for those who are experiencing homelessness. 8 years ago, I redefined the word extraordinary for myself. It's now a word that I rarely ever use because to me, something is extraordinary only in the presence of kindness and compassion. So ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to please help me welcome to our stage my extraordinary friend, the Mayor of Grand Rapids, Rosalind Bliss. So come on over here. We did something a little different. Instead of a plaque, like we did for Mr. Bruins, we've had a painting. We've had a donor family who anonymously donated art to celebrate you and Mr. Bruins. And these two pieces will be sitting in the day center at Mel Trotter, and they will be a beacon of hope for all those who are seeking shelter and a day inside. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Grand Rapids.
Can I say a few words?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's kind of dangerous having someone who's known me as long as Michelle has introduce me. And she didn't even warn me what she was going to say. Kind of caught me off guard all those years ago at the girls' school. What a journey it has been, and I'm so grateful for you. Talk about a light and hope. You embody that. I also want to start by saying thank you to Gordon and Adrian for their incredible leadership, especially over the last several years. A lot has changed, a lot of growth, a lot of just incredible work happening in our community because of both of you. So join me again in thanking them, please. I just want to say a couple words of thanks, but also acknowledge a few things. One, I want to say what an honor it is for me to receive this recognition, especially because it's coming from Mel Trotter Ministries. You all know this. This is why you're here tonight. This is an organization that has been a pillar of hope in our community for decades. Decades. And I am so humbled. I'm unbelievably grateful for this acknowledgement. But I must say that the real heroes are the heroes on the front lines every day. They're the individuals that are out there doing the work. They're the staff. So the staff that are here tonight, thank you. It's all the volunteers. It's the supporters of Mel Trotter, the ones that help them do their work. The people who dedicate their lives every single day to serving the most vulnerable in our community. They're the real heroes. It's the people they serve that are so filled with courage and resilience that they help find hope. As mayor, I can tell you it's been an unbelievable privilege for me to be able to support the exceptional work of organizations like Mel Trotter. So often I wish there was more that I could do, actually. But their work is doing incredible things, and you all know this. They're breaking down barriers. They're offering hope to both individuals and families who so often have lost hope. And it's their work that reminds us, it reminds all of us, that with compassion and dedication and a belief, a strong belief in the potential of every single person, regardless of their past, that we can truly make a profound difference in somebody's life. So I am forever grateful. I'm coming to the end of my term. I'm only mayor for about 3.5 more months, but I have a lot to get done. I'm grateful tonight to be here with some of my colleagues on the commission. But I am forever grateful to be able to serve our community. And it means so much because I get to serve and work in a community that cares so deeply for other people. We are such a generous and kind community. And when we come together with a collective effort, we truly can do incredible things. I also have to give a shout out to Brian and some of my friends and family that's here tonight. They've always supported me. This is a tough job sometimes. And on those hard days, which all of us have, they're the ones that continue to pick me up. So thank you. And then last, I just want to say I'm really grateful for the many people throughout our entire community that I have had the privilege to work with over the years, many of you in this room. Our city is such a special place. And I always say it's a special place because of the people, because of all of you in this room that continue to get up and do what you can to improve the lives of others. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you for this incredible honor and acknowledgement. What a privilege and blessing it has been to call Grand Rapids home, but also to say that I've had the privilege to serve as mayor. So thank you.
My name is Molly DeLugos. I am a diversion specialist at Mel Trotter Ministries. I help families on the brink of homelessness from ever becoming homeless in the first place. I assist our clients that are at risk of losing their housing by helping them identify resources that will keep them from becoming homeless. Sometimes this is a car repair, so they don't lose their employment and therefore their housing. Other times, it is assisting in negotiating with a landlord on how to get our clients caught up on their back rent. Often these solutions cost as little as a couple $100s. Compared to the cost of putting that family in emergency shelter, it is a better use of resources to help them stay in their housing. Children that experience homelessness are 2 times more likely to experience homelessness as an adult. It is our goal to end the cycle before it even starts. That is why we partner with 7 school districts and other organizations in Kent County to help identify those children and families in need. For example, holding office hours on site at North Kent Connect. We go upstream to provide stabilizing services and make every effort to prevent families from ever experiencing homelessness. Every child deserves to have a safe and stable place to call home, to have the opportunity to reach their God-given potential in life. That is why our work continues, and your partnership matters. With your help, we're changing family trees one life at a time.
We had a unique opportunity as a board not long ago to get a presentation from the staff. That's who are in front of you now. And we were blown away because so many of us on the board knew a lot about the mission, but we didn't really necessarily know a lot about what happens day to day, minute by minute on the front line. And that's who's in front of us now. Haley Mulder and Drayson Biker are from Triage. Demasio Lopez and Shelby Sikta from TRAX. You'll hear from Terrell Craig from Workforce Development and from Matt Naylor, who is with Case Management. Let's start with you, Haley and Drayson. What does triage mean and look like at Mel Trotter Ministries?
Hello, my name is Drayson, and I'm a triage specialist, and I've been there for just over 2 years now. And what does triage mean? The simple definition is its initial assessment to determine a person's need. While that is our immediate concern, ultimately as part of the triage team, it's the initial relationship. What does triage look like? It looks like developing relationships with guests. When they come to Mel Trotter Ministries, our goal is to reflect the love of Christ, meet them where they're at, and just continue building that. When we're meeting new people, we recognize that often, if it's not the worst day of their life, it may be one of the worst. And so when we are completing a person's triage with them, we're trying to ask them what brought them to Mel Trotter, listen to their story, and we aspire to make them feel welcome and seen no matter how they show up. Because we've learned that how you make somebody feel matters and can restore their sense of hope. And when somebody rediscovers that, dramatic transformation can happen. So we introduce them to Mel Trotter. We try to serve as their compass, help them navigate resources like housing assessments, Social Security. We'll look up addresses and phone numbers, print off directions, and then we help them with daily bed assignments. Also, sometimes if somebody's coming from jail, or maybe somebody just was beat up and had everything stolen from them, or maybe they're starting a new job, those are all situations where somebody needs a new set of clothing. So we'll try and connect them with that to make sure that if they're going to a new job, they're going to feel okay. If they had everything taken from them, they know they can get a little bit more. Also, we're their mailman. We will get mail every day, and every day people come to us for mail. And it's always exciting to be able to give somebody a new bank card, or maybe their vital docs came in, or maybe they finally got a letter from a family member that they haven't talked to for a while. We also discuss goals and trying to connect them with opportunities. And we connect them with TRAX and case managers, which you're going to hear more about here shortly. So we have a lot of room to celebrate successes, like when people get a new job, have a family connection, or sometimes birthdays. We see a lot of people's dates of birth. And so sometimes it's a little early, sometimes it's a little late, sometimes it's the day of, but often it's the first time somebody said happy birthday to them. And I've said it, and I've had grown men get kind of teary because, like, my kids didn't even wish happy birthday to me. So it's nice to be able to see that and try and extend that to somebody. So yeah, it's an honor, a responsibility, and blessing. And it is work that tests my faith weekly, but helps me grow deeper in relationship with God daily.
Haley, how about an impactful story you could share with us?
Hi, everyone. My name's Haley. I'm also a triage specialist at Mel Trotter. I've been with Mel Trotter for a little over 4 years. And about a year and a half ago, I transitioned from our advancement team to the frontline staff. And around that time, I met a guest for this case. We'll name him Charlie. And I want to tell you a little bit about him. To set the scene for you, Triage, our main desk, is in the day center. So we see everybody in every state, the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. I met Charlie at a particularly low point of his life. He would come into the mission intoxicated, sad, angry, all of the above. And one thing led to another, and Charlie wound himself up on a 24-hour no service from the mission. So he couldn't utilize Mel Trotter services for 24 hours. And I found him sitting on the front steps of Mel Trotter in tears. He was angry at himself. He was angry at the situation he had got himself in, and he just wanted to talk. So I sat down next to him, talked with him for a little bit, and he told me that he had the opportunity to go to rehab the next day. And I was like, Charlie, this is great. This is going to be the best thing for you. And he looked at me and he told me he didn't want to go. He said that his life wasn't worth it. He said that he was over the age of 50 and that there were so many people younger than him that would do so much better at rehab, and their lives would be so much more worth it at the end of it than his would be. And so I sat there with him and I kept talking to him and we kept going through things, and I asked him one more time why he didn't want to go to rehab. And he told me that the real reason was because he was scared. He had never had a support system in his life, ever. So why would he want to leave the one he has now? No one ever cared if he came in at night for a bed or if he had eaten that day, but he had finally found someone who cared at Mel Trotter. Well, Charlie ended up going to rehab the next morning, and over the course of the next 3 months he was there, I sent him letters from the triage team just to encourage him. Like, you got this, we believe in you, you're doing great things, it's gonna be amazing. And then I never heard from him again until about a month ago. I was walking out of work and I saw Charlie sitting in our atrium, and I ran over to him. I screamed his name at the top of my lungs, and for a split second I was a little bit discouraged, because typically when we see our guests come back, it's not always on the best of terms. But he quickly reassured me that he was just visiting, that he now lives in a sober living community, and he's been sober for a little over a year. And we got the chance to talk a little bit, and he looked at me and he said, I will never understand why a young girl cared so much if I made it or not, but I am so thankful that you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And rarely on triage do we get the full circle moments. We get to plant seeds, but we never get to see the fruits of our labor. And so it was really cool to be able to get to see Charlie and how much he's grown and how full of life and hope he is now.
Wow. So, Shelby and Damasio, what does TRAX mean, and what does it look like at Mel Trotter?
Hi, everybody. I'm Shelby. I have been at Mel Trotter 10 years. I have had a variety of roles while I've been there, but currently I have the privilege to walk alongside the triage team and the TRAX team as the Director of Guest Services. So I'm going to share just a little bit about what TRAX are. About 2 years ago, we decided to change our program model into a case management strategy that's really focused on an individualized plan. Traditionally, 90-day programs kind of have a box that everyone is supposed to fit into. But what we know to be true at Mel Trotter is that everybody comes in to our doors with different barriers, different challenges. They have their own timelines, and they also have their own goals. So we know that that 90-day program just really wasn't going to fit. So we created TRAX. With that, we have the ability to be intentional about our action plans and really focus on the specific plans that each individual needs. With that, some guests may be there for 2 weeks, some may be there for 2 months, some may be there for close to a year, but that's okay with us. The timeline doesn't really matter as long as we see forward movement toward stable housing and a sustainable income. So we do have 5 different sections of TRAX. We have our fixed income for anyone that's receiving Social Security or disability benefits. We have our employed track that is for anyone that is working 25 hours or more. We have our addiction recovery track that is for anyone that's recovering from a substance abuse. And we have our youth track that you will hear more about shortly, and our workforce development track that Terrell will share briefly also. So all tracks have guest case managers that walk alongside the individual. They work on intentional action plans. They have one-on-one meetings. They also guide them through their faith journey in the process. All guests have access to 3 meals a day. They have access to laundry facilities. We have in-house medical services available. They have 24/7 access to their suites, and they are able to be connected to a community. Being connected to a community is honestly the most crucial part that we play. We know that individuals aren't experiencing homelessness because of lack of resources, but because of a lack of community. So our aim is really to set each individual up and see them succeed as they're using Mel Trotter just as a stepping stone to their journey of ending homelessness.
Thank you. Demasio, can you share an impactful story that you've seen at Mel Trotter?
Uh-oh, it's my turn. Hi, everybody. My name is Demasio Lopez, and I have been at Mel Trotter for about 9 years now, and I am the tracks coordinator, and I have the honor and privilege of working alongside of our case managers and overseeing our tracks to make sure that the guests are getting the best support possible, and also the guests are getting everything that they need so they can end their journey of homelessness. One of the most beautiful things about tracks is that guests get to go on and obtain housing and move on from Mel Trotter. So one of the things that we're doing at Mel Trotter is making sure that all guests that accomplish that are acknowledged, celebrated, and supported. And one of the ways that we're doing that is through our graduation bags. And the graduation bags are actually over there right in that corner. One of the things about the graduation bags is making sure that the guests are celebrated, because when you hear graduation, you think of a celebration, right? So it's a beautiful thing to be able to do. And one of the things that we do is make sure that we have a certificate ready for them to really, so they can go back and be like, you know what, I've been through this very, very traumatic moment in my life, but I'm able to move on and move forward, and this is something that's saying that I accomplished that, and I've done that. They take a picture with whoever supported them, whoever has impacted them. It could be a triage specialist, it could be a case manager, it can be an intake specialist that's over at the mission. But you see the light and joy that comes into their face and being like, hey, you know what, I'm being seen, and also I'm being able to take a picture with the people that have impacted me the most. And after that, we give them a graduation bag, and a graduation bag consists of linen, toiletries, and a memento from Mel Trotter Ministries. I don't know about you, but when I left my home for the first time, the first thing I went to is the dollar store. And when you go to the dollar store, you got to get all the things that you need. But with this graduation bag, you get those little things that like you really don't think about when you're going through, you know, a very traumatic experience. You just focus on getting housing. You're not thinking about the toothpaste, the toothbrushes, the soap, all those things that accumulate money. So this is the thing for us to go on and actually give it to them so they're not worried about that going along the way. One of the things that has impacted me the most at Mel Trotter Ministries is that all the guests have a suite, and it's basically a place where they sleep, keep all their belongings, all those things. And one of the things that we do as case managers is we go in and we make sure that the suite is cleaned, organized, and all those things, because one of the things I always say is a cluttered place is a cluttered mind. So you wanna go and make sure that it's organized, because you don't want to come home to a mess. So I go into this guest room, and I see that it's just the stuff on the floor, the stuff on the beds, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, hey, you know what? You want to make sure this is clean and organized. These are the things that you have to do, and to make sure that's like that. So I'm gonna give you some time to do that, and then by the time I come back, if you need help, just let me know. He looks me dead in my face, and he says, I think this is clean and organized. I don't know about you, but I had to take a step back, and I'm like, wait, what do you mean? He didn't say it with any ill intent. He didn't say it with like being upset. He genuinely thought that was clean and organized. So it was like a light bulb moment for me, where it was like, okay, you are going through survival mode every single day when you're homeless, and you forget probably the little things to do, like keep your place clean and organized. So it was a very humbling experience for me. So now it's like, okay, now I'm walking him through what clean and organized looks like. And then after that, you totally saw a different person out of him. You saw him, have everything clean. He actually come up to me like, did you check my suite yet? It's clean. I promise it's clean. Can you go check it real quick? And it was just a light for me to see that with him, and then also to see that with all the other guests that come along the way as well. So yeah, that impacted me the most, and it's definitely something that's humbling every single time I go into the mission.
Thank you. Terrell. Terrell, what does workforce development look like at Mel Trotter?
Hi, my name is Terrell Craig. I've been at Mel Trotter for 3 years. Workforce development is a program to get the guests back into the workforce. You know, sometimes they just scared to get back to work, being homeless. So we run a 4-week program, just teaching them on soft skills such as time management, conflict resolution, setting boundaries, things of that nature to get back in the workforce. So we also have a program to where we work with Peter in the kitchen to teach them how to work alongside of other people in the kitchen so they have the soft skills and working in the kitchen. So they got to do 25 hours in the kitchen, plus they go to work to our classes for 4 days out the week. It helps them just get ready for work. You know, like we had class 2 days ago, and we just had our guys opening up. We had 2 guys crying in a classroom, just talking about roadblocks that they're going through, and we all just come together. And then after that 4 weeks, when the class completed, we contact employers and get them back in the workforce. So that's what workforce development is.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the good work you've seen done. You have an impactful story to share?
Yes, we have a great impact story. This guest's name will be Johnny. When I first started at Mel Trotter, I was triage. So I was his first contact. He came in. He was struggling. He didn't know what he wanted to do. I gave him some resource to go to a temp service. He found a job. About a week later, I didn't see Johnny. So I go, okay, he just left. You know, we always see that. So then about 3 months later, this guy sitting to the right of me got promoted to being a case manager. So I go down to the day center, and I see Johnny again. So I run to Demasio. I'm like, Demasio, he got to be on my caseload. He got to be on my caseload. So Demasio added him to my caseload, so he's working. I meet with him for about 2 weeks, and I go to his suite, and his bags are still there, but I don't see him. So again, he left me again. So I'm like, okay, he'll come back around. So about 5 to 6 months later, I switched over to workforce development. And I go down to the day center, and I'm like, that can't be Johnny. That can't be Johnny. And I'm like, God just working mysterious ways. So I go up to him, and I say, hey, I got the perfect program for you. I'm like, we workforce development. We can get you working, get you into transitional housing. He was like, okay, I'm down for it. So before they come in workforce development, we do some vetting and recruiting to make sure they're ready to go back in the workforce. And he was honest with me. You know, he was saying he was still using, and he's not sure if he's ready to go back. So that's when I contacted Matt over here and said, hey, I got a guest for you. Go to Step Up. So he completed Step Up, and it's 90 days he can come to workforce development. So now he come to workforce development. He completed our 4-week program. We find him a job. He was honest with me. He said, Terrell, I don't think this job, it don't pay enough. It don't pay enough. I'm like, just wait it out. Just wait it out. It started off part-time. He got full-time work. And then we had a job fair at the Rapid. And we told Johnny about the job fair. Johnny went to the Rapid, and Johnny landed a job at the Rapid, and he's driving for the Rapid still. He's been clean for over a year. He moved out of Mel Trotter with a tremendous amount of money saved. And the best thing for me is Johnny come back and talk to our guests for motivation. He's the last person of our class that he talks and motivate the guys and tell them that they can do it. So that's the impact story.
Well done. Matt, from your unique perspective, what does securing housing mean? Securing housing for kids, too, at Mel Trotter Ministries.
Hi, my name's Matt Naylor. I'm a case manager at Mel Trotter. I've been there for about 4 years. So today I want to talk about the youth specifically. So when I'm talking about, so I've been a homeless youth myself. And when I'm talking about the youth, I'm talking about 18 to 24-year-olds. Many of them come to us from broken families. They come from neglected homes without basic life skills. It's really hard to try to find someone permanent housing if they haven't grasped the skills needed to live independently. Many of them need their GED. They need to learn to properly take care of their hygiene, how to wash clothes, how to apply for a job, how to make a resume. Many of them have never had a bank account before. So those are all barriers that we have to take care of. And it's tough to do that in such a short period of time. Anywhere from 3 to 9 months is usually what we aim for. And trying to train basically a child to become a responsible adult in that period of time can be really tough. But we do it as a family. We all kind of take care of the youth as a family. So it's not a one-man job. Everybody up here all helps. And we help build up our youth. So once we start knocking out these barriers, we get them their vital documents. Many of them have never had a license or an ID or a social security card or a birth certificate. And once we get all of those things out of the way, then it's time to find work. Sometimes I'll send them to Terrell here for workforce development, and he'll get them all amped and motivated to go work and make them reliable and responsible. And so they go and they work and they start saving money, and then we have all these options that they have to choose from. So we have transitional housing, there's Job Corps, there's subsidized housing, and many of our youth actually will just go and find an apartment on their own. Once they're given the guidance and the motivation and the confidence to know that they can go and find housing and move into this housing, and as long as they are responsible, they can keep it. That's what they like to do. So I want to share a story about a youth one of the first youth that I worked with. I was about 3 months into the job at Mel Trotter, and we're going to call him Clark. So Clark was dropped off on his 19th birthday. Clark is autistic and has extreme behavioral outbursts. He was dropped off on his 19th birthday by his foster parents on the same day that they stopped receiving funding to take care of him. Now, he is in a new place with a whole bunch of new people, and I'm here telling him, we're your new family now. We're going to take care of you. He didn't like that at first. We grew on him. We worked on many things during his 9 months that he was with us. We worked on his behavioral outbursts. We got him a primary care physician. We made sure that he made his regular visits. I put out a lot of fires, almost a daily basis. He was off getting into some kind of trouble, and they were calling me to come and cool things down. But he grew a lot. He couldn't keep a job, but I am here to tell you guys that we found an assisted living home for him, and he's been there for 3 years, and he now has a job that he has held the same job for 2 years, and he comes back and visits every once in a while, and it's so awesome to see how far he's come.
Amazing. How about another round of applause for the frontline workers at Mel Trotter Ministries? Thank you. Now, please watch this video. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Well deserved. I'm going to get up too. Would you please pass that on to everybody else that you work with at Mel Trotter Ministries? Let them know what happened. These are tiny little stories that they see every day. Now, how about a video about outreach at Mel Trotter Ministries?
Hi, I'm Brooke from Mel Trotter Ministries. I'm here at the Other Way Ministries with our outreach team, doing our shower truck outreach, and we're just here interviewing some of the guys who are part of our outreach team to learn more about what they do. Outreach is one of my favorite parts about Mel Trotter. I think it's amazing what this team does to go out into the city and different communities to reach individuals and meet their needs accordingly. So let's hear more from our outreach team. What does outreach mean at Mel Trotter?
Yeah, outreach is really just all about going out and seeking those who are the most marginalized or furthest out, who are experiencing homelessness, who don't want to access Mel Trotter but are still at risk and vulnerable, and So yeah, outreach is just going out and meeting people where they're at and trying to help them navigate resources and give them the resources they need to get them into housing and stability.
We have what's called morning outreach, where we go out at 7:30 in the morning and try to catch individuals who are just waking up or who are still sleeping. As an outreach worker, it's very hard to access individuals in the same locations. So if we know where they're staying, we'll try to hit them up in the morning because we know they'll either be just waking up or sleeping there. We have showers from 10 to 12 at different locations throughout the city. We also do what's called Code Red outreach, where if it reaches a certain real field temperature, then we'll go out passing out waters, making sure folks have what they need to survive the heat. We also do what's called Code Blue outreach, where if it gets cold enough, we will go out, especially in the evening, to try to encourage folks to come into the shelter. If for whatever reason they don't want to come in, we will give them any necessary supplies that they need to survive the night.
Yeah, we'll go all over. We'll go all over Kent County. Wherever we know that there's a need, we'll try to make it out there. So sometimes it's under a bridge, sometimes it's in an encampment with a bunch of tents, sometimes it's just in a doorway. A couple days ago, we drove all the way up to Cedar Springs. This morning we were in Wyoming, and sometimes we're right downtown, so kind of go wherever.
Hello, anybody home? Outreach, anybody here? Hello, hello, outreach, anybody here? The locals, even local law enforcement, they won't bother them as much if their places are looking nice and neat. Because if they get displaced, it's hard for us to find them again, right? Then we're kind of back to square one. We got the Mel Trotter showers going right now in the parking lot with some breakfast and coffee if y'all are interested.
We probably see 50 plus people a day. It can really vary by the day. Some days we go out and we run into a lot of people, and some days we can't find anybody. So it really kind of depends, but I'd say we probably see around 50 people a day between the shower trailer and going out on outreach. We had an individual who showed up intoxicated. He smelled pretty bad, smelled like urine, and had just come out of like a 8-day binge of drinking and using drugs. And he came to showers, and he got a shower and got cleaned up, and then he went to the party store. We kind of had a recovery conversation, and he wasn't interested right then. He went to the party store, and they denied him any alcohol. And so he came back and was kind of sitting with us and was just in shock a little bit that they wouldn't even serve him alcohol even after he got a shower and stuff. And so we continued that recovery conversation, and he ended up later that day getting connected to Network 180. He got put in our Step Up program, and then a few months later, after being in our Step Up recovery program and being sober, he was working in the kitchen, and he ended up, we were able to reconnect and talk, and then he was preparing meals for us to take out on outreach. So pretty cool to see it come full circle. And we don't always get to see it like that, but it's always encouraging when we do.
What an incredible evening. I hope that all of you have been incredibly blessed. Just what you've learned this evening, all the different programs. Hopefully you've been able to take advantage of them and really go and learn at each station what's happening at Mel Trotter Ministries. Also this team that was up here, the front line, just loving others every single day. And so we're just so happy that you joined us today and tonight. I'm Janice Petrini. I've been a board member for probably maybe over 15 years. It's hard to count, but a long time. So hopefully that you've seen this evening that Mel Trotter Ministries is more than you thought, because it's so much more, as our new CEO said. And hopefully many of you see homelessness in our city, and I hope tonight that you've been able to see a little bit more about how we can help. And you've been able to realize that there's a lot of incredible programs and innovation that's happening in the areas of helping people be successful.
So we want to invite you to join us as part of the work of Mel Trotter Ministries. We have several invitations to give you this evening of ways that you can get involved and what you can do to become part of this organization.
Some of the ways, certainly you can volunteer. That's how I started. I founded an employment ministry and business and started coming to Mel Trotter, and we started preparing people to be ready to interview and ready to go and find a job, and hung out there, and eventually they said, "You're hanging out here a lot. Maybe you should become a board member." So I said, okay, I'll become a board member, and the rest is history. So certainly when you think about yourself, you think about your family, you think about your church family, you think about your work family, you think about your small group. There's many, many ways to volunteer at Mel Trotter. If you visit our website, fantastic opportunities, and there's something for everyone, and there's amazing things that are always happening at Mel Trotter, and it's a wonderful way to get to know our guests, and a wonderful way to hear their stories, a wonderful way to get to know our team and see the transformational work that's happening.
You might want to find a way to learn more, and you're saying to yourself, this is really interesting, I want to continue to discover more about this. We have an opportunity that we've created for you to come down to the mission. We're calling it Morning at the Mission, and we have several dates coming up, and hopefully we'll get those on the screen in a moment, where you can actually come down in the morning. We're going to go from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and we'll give you coffee and a donut and tell you some more about what's going on, and then we'll actually show you. We'll walk you through and give you a tour of the mission so you can see exactly how this stuff fits together and recognize where some of those opportunities may lie for you to get involved.
Wonderful. And certainly last but not least, we want to invite you to financially partner with Mel Trotter Ministries. Contributions from you are incredibly important to keep this work going, and you can see how profound and life-changing it is. And so we invite you to help us with sustaining everything that we're doing at Mel Trotter Ministries. And certainly, as you know, the cost of doing all this work is a tremendous cost, and so we personally will be inviting you to really help us in this work.
And as you know, probably from your household budget, costs continue to grow and increase. So the importance of the support that we solicit and receive from folks like you continues to grow in its importance. So I'd like to invite you to take the card that is on the table in front of you, and I'd like you to take that out so that we can give you an opportunity to use that card. What I want you to do is take a look at that, and you can indicate what your involvement at Mel Trotter Ministries might look like for you. I want to encourage you at this point to consider specifically a monthly gift to support Mel Trotter Ministries. That support over the upcoming 12 months can provide really important financial support for us, and here's a few examples of what that could look like for you. One guest completing the Momentum program. That's the workforce development program that Terrell was telling you about. One guest completing that program, that's about $2,800. That's $239 a month. Maybe that's something that you could do. Our art therapy program, the origami that is in your centerpieces tonight, the piece of artwork that's in the corner over there tonight. Drayson and his team working on art therapy stuff. Those folks, they use a large amount of supplies. It costs about $200 to restock those supplies, so maybe $200 a month. You'd be part of restocking supplies. That's one option. A few minutes ago, you saw the outreach van up on the screen in the video as we were talking about the Hope van and our outreach folks going around and traveling to places like encampments, hauling the shower trailer. On your way out this evening, it's outside. It's down outside the building if you want to stop and take a look as well. That outreach van, to restock it with things like blankets and the resources that they carry out to encampments provide to people, that would cost $100 a month for that to be restocked. So maybe $100 a month is something you would consider doing. Walking alongside 4 families with diversion support to help them avoid homelessness. We saw Molly on the screen in the video a few minutes ago talking about that. $75 a month. Maybe that's something that you would consider doing tonight. Providing 15 showers at the mobile shower unit, which you can also see downstairs. 15 showers, that's $50 a month. Lastly, $25 a month would provide 10 meals for guests at our dining room at Mel Trotter Ministries, less than a half a mile away from here. So those are some options and some things for you to consider as you take a moment to look at the card and consider what you might be called to do right now.
Thank you, Dave. You know, when the team said, Janice, would you mind, being alongside Dave and asking for gifts this evening? And I said to myself, first I had a panic, and then I said, you know what? I'd be honored to do it. I love this mission. I love the work that they do. I love the transformation that happens. And when you think about our community, for 124 years, Mel Trotter Ministries has been here doing that day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's just incredible work. And I can tell you that it's a privilege really just to end up here and ask you to support us. And I hope that you will. This ministry, the team you met tonight, the leadership, the volunteers, the board, and the donors feel called to invest in this ministry, and we hope that you do too. In a moment, the Mayflower Choir, a church partner of Mel Trotter, is going to come up and they're going to sing 2 songs. And we hope that you'll pause and you'll reflect and consider how God has blessed you, not just with financial resources, but also with time and talent and relationships and availability and influence. We're all stewards of God's resources, and they're all gifts of love. So I invite you to give generously as a reflection of the way that God has generously lavished his love on you. Thank you for being led to give sacrificially out of hearts of compassion for humanity and God's kingdom, out of hearts of gratitude to him for his inexpressible love for us and his work of redemption in us. God's giving to us is like filling a cup overflowing. And our giving that to others reveals the cup running over. In the context of our own blessings and gratefulness, we learn to be generous givers. We live in a world of desperate needs. With our resources, together, collectively, we can provide help for today. We can provide hope for tomorrow. And even small steps can transform lives through the stewardship of our resources. We can help people reach their God-given potential and help them to thrive. So please take time to complete the card in front of you as you respond to what God is laying on your heart. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us in ending homelessness one life at a time.